another problem with AI is that models that can do like quantum physics, but don't know about, can't find your Q2 board tech. And that's really the bottleneck. And like no one's focusing on that. When AI first came along, people's imaginations immediately went to like, sci-fi movies and sort of the one omniscient, omnipotent AI assistant agents are going to be further away than people think.
Our next guest is Drew Houston from Dropbox.
Super
Welcome
excited for this
to
one.
the show. Drew, how are you doing?
What's happening?
How's it going, guys?
Great to see you.
We've been excited for this one.
Yeah, very excited. Where should we start? Are you a Waymo fan? Are you an Uber fan? We were debating like where does the consumer experience go? I mean, I know you're probably in the position where you might not have to choose, but it's an interesting question in my mind of like, will people want the super app that can get them the robot taxi or the human long term, or if folks just wind up moving over to Waymo entirely?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see how fast it diffuses. I mean, I think there's still like that, or that like quality problem, and they're getting that like third nine, fourth nine, fifth nine.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really what's. And Karpathy talked about that on why agents are going to be further away than people think. And so, but I mean, I think SF, it's like pretty well established. So I think that's probably a sign of what's to come.
Yeah. Did the Karpathy podcast like update you on Dropbox's strategy at all, or was it something that you were already hearing like rumbles of, and you were like, okay, now I have like permission to fully write that to long-term memory? Or how were you processing it? Because I think they were like, there was nothing there that was like completely, oh, no one has ever given this take before. It was more like no one has ever said it in this context with this authority.
Yeah, it was somebody whose opinion holds a lot of weight that isn't like didn't feel like he's waiting out for the next like big tender offer.
Yo, totally.
So it was like it was felt like less conflicted than some of the other opinions that get shared.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. No, I'm very aligned with it. I don't think there was, to your point, I don't think it was like a lot of new, I agree with a lot of these themes that the industry's been thinking about for a while, but sort of like a splash of sobriety on the space. Yeah. And I think self-driving is a good comp in some ways for like why AI or AGI or this like fast takeoff might, not be as quick or on the kind of timelines that people are thinking about, because Karpathy talks about this march of nines, like it's the same amount of work to go from like 90% reliability. That's like one unit of work. Then to get to 99 is like the same amount of work, then 99.9. I mean, we've certainly seen that in our, as we've worked with AI and as we just work on reliability in general. I think that's very consistent. And I think, the self-driving car took the world, or capture the world's imagination like 15 years ago. And yet it's these like more intermediate forms of automation that come way before autonomy that create a lot of the commercial value and get a lot more adoption. So for example, like there's like billions of users of Google Maps today, but maybe thousands of people are going to get into Waymo today. Yeah. And then same thing for like, Highway Assist or what Tesla's done or some of these intermediate forms of self-driving that have maybe millions of users. And so we think about that a lot as we deploy AI. And, you don't want to be either too early or too late, both with tech in general, but also with automation for sure.
Yeah, it feels like if you watched the Karpathy episode on Friday and you walked into the office on Monday and like ripped up your whole plan, like something's maybe going wrong with your leadership style. But it is an interesting frame to think about it in the decade of agents framing. And I'm wondering, like, you've been at this for 2 decades now, correct? Like roughly?
Yeah.
And so you're like fully equipped to think in decades because you have literally thought in decades multiple times, right? And so I'm wondering how you're thinking about the next decade. Like in 10 years, what if things play out kind of to the mid case and we get a lot of really powerful AI systems, but they don't come next quarter? How do you set your company up to actually capitalize fully over like a nice long decade of just solid execution?
Yeah. Well, I think when AI first came along, people's imaginations immediately went to like, sci-fi movies and sort of the one omniscient, omnipotent AI assistant. But for a while, yeah, I think like looking at, I was surprised when I was, 30, when self-driving first came out. I was like, oh yeah, maybe millions of people will be off the road. Maybe we'll never see another human behind the wheel when we go to work. And it just like took a lot longer. And then I've been working with like, even when you're just designing like systems with engineering, and certainly as you start to apply machine intelligence, you see these dynamics where like the demos look super good. And sort of convince you that it's like right around the corner. But then when you actually scale these things up, it's a lot harder than it looks. And so we saw that even before AI with like Dropbox to begin with, like we could make a very good demo or a video like in the first couple of months, but then to roll it out at like mission critical and massive or to roll out such a mission critical product at massive scale, you can't have a bad day. And that just takes a lot more engineering. And we see that with our AI products today. So, I mean, and along the we want to build the omniscient, omnipotent AI agent too. But when we actually look at customers and look on their screens, the more basic problem that people have that AI can help with today is just that like if your screen's a mess, like work is a mess. You have like 100 tabs open. You're working across Google and Slack and your email and Dropbox and a dozen other things. And the question I started with is like, how much is AI helping with that?
Yeah.
And the answer is like zero or negative.
Yeah. The other thing is, I'm sure reliability was like a core focus for Dropbox during the early days, because if you're like online file storage and then like 1% of the time, like a file just like disappears into the ether, it's not saved, and then the user, might have lost it forever, and that's like going to stick in their brain forever. And so like reliability at Dropbox means like 99.9999999 forever, right? And it feels like the industry in spending a decade building SaaS, it was pretty reliable, and having like a bunch of infrastructure that makes it easier to deliver reliability, maybe forgot how important it is. And if you have an AI agent that does an amazing job 90% of the time and just totally botches it 10% of the time, it's not ready for production. And so you can have these magical, and I think in the context of like customer support is a big one, is like, is your agent ready for production? If like 95% of the time it solves the consumer's problem, but 5% of the time it makes them like pissed off, and they're just like, talk to a human, and they're just running down that conversation. But
yeah, well, I mean, once you get up to 1 million users, even if you have a 95 or 99% success rate, that's still like thousands or tens of thousands of people having like a really terrible experience like every day. And this was actually part of the motivation why I started Dropbox. Like step one was not like create Dropbox. Step one was like use all these other services and like have all these near misses or things where like, wait, what happened to my like tax return? It was just here a second ago. Where did it go? And going into the support forums of these other these other companies, these other products that claim to do this on paper. But then you go in the support forums and it's like a battlefield medical tent. Like people are like, oh my God, what happened to my wedding photos? And where's this? And I was like, I like can't believe that, these things are so brittle. I'm going to be putting my most important stuff in here, even just as a customer of one, like me, like I need something that I can trust. And then that took a lot more like engineering rigor and discipline than we'd seen in the space.
We've been getting into barnyard analogies around here. I want to take you through one, and I'd love your feedback. So we think about a lot of the dynamics between the various players in enterprise software and foundation models as potentially mimicking the experience of a fox in a hen house, and it might be the job of the CEO of the hen house not to let the fox in the hen house. And I'm wondering if that resonates with you at all in terms of if I'm a foundation model company and I say, hey, I'd love to provide a bunch of great AI tooling to my customers, your customers, both. I will need all of your data forever, and I will need to significantly erode your mode or your customer retention. Like, is the job of the CEO right now to protect the hen house or go on the attack and be more fox-like? Like, help me walk through this from your perspective.
Well, I mean, I think when it comes to using AI, it depends. I mean, first is, and it depends what your business is doing and how you're using it and so on. I think I mean, certainly the CEO's responsibility to like strategically position their company and mitigate risk and things like that. But certainly every CEO is thinking about how do I like usefully deploy AI. And so I think it helps to have an understanding of the technology. I think it's important to like know who you're working with and what their incentives are. To your point, hen houses, like, I think a lot of people have apprehension about using some of these or about working with a foundation model company whose whole business revolves around like taking data and sort of grinding it up into pellets for training the next one. And, you watch Sora videos or whatever, and you're like, that comes from somewhere. Probably not their artists. So I think, and, it certainly in our business, that trust and privacy, and not having incentive conflicts of like not advertising, not training foundation models is super important as, all of our customers think about, who should we partner with?
So is there a little bit of a tension there where you need to keep customer trust high and let them know that we're going to get you these AI features, but in the Dropbox way that is actually fully integrated, and we're not just going to take your customer record or your data and sell it off the back of the truck just to pull something forward. And that actually layers into like the customer experience. Like you might be a couple months behind on a certain thing, but it's going to wind up with a better experience over time. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And I think it's all of the above. I think it has to, it starts with just like your business and your incentives. Like you have to design some of this in from the beginning. Like, we could probably make more money or be more profitable if we did advertising, for example. Right. And so, and a lot of scaled, the predominant scaled business model on the internet certainly for consumers is advertising. And we're like, we're just going to draw a hard line. We're just not going to do that. Because of this trust conflict or this incentive conflict we would have. And even if our intentions are good, it's like customers just have to wonder. Right. And so, and then that becomes a big advantage because then we've been like living up to that for the last 18 years and we have a track record of
what is the specific concern if you were running effectively display ads? Is it privacy of like, I don't want you to use my data to target me with more ads?
Yeah. And really, this is up to our customers, not us. It doesn't really matter what we think. It really matters what they think. And I think, everybody feels a little weird when it's like the equivalent of like, even just like the TV in your living room, if it starts showing you, like, if it's like a smart TV that's starts showing you ads you didn't ask for, it's like, whoa, there's an invasion of privacy here. And so you have to be super sensitive to the psychology of your users. But I think at a more fundamental level. Like
the other thing is like non-targeted ad.
I'm imagining the worst possible scenario that you were 100% not doing, where the file storage company edits ads into my files. So I'm like, wait a minute, I saved my high school transcript, and now on page 6 of this PDF, they edited in an ad.
Well, the other thing is like non-targeted ads are really frustrating because totally. I remember in college I bought a Kindle and there was an option. It was like, do you want the ad-supported Kindle?
I went with the ad-supported one.
This is a very Amazon move, is to be like, okay, for $100 you can get the ad-supported
Save like
Kindle.
$10.
Or for $120 you can buy it, and I'm a college student.
I got the bougie one. I got the no ads.
Yeah, but then I was getting like the ads that when I had this that were popular were like the most. It was like romantic novels, and stuff like that, like books that I wasn't reading, and so my Kindle would be sitting there and it'd be like
just absorb my entire life, so you can target me with something cool for once. Interesting.
And the other thing is, I think you have to focus. Like you have to really be selective about the problems you solve, and like figure about, okay, how do we take what we do today and build on that in a way that makes sense for like today's context. So for us, I mean, we always took care of your files. These are already like your most important information. But as we all know, like what used to be 100 files on our desktops, now 100 tabs in our browser. And then a lot of the pain points we have are like, instead of one search box, or at home, I can Google anything from one place, search all of human knowledge. I go to work, I've got like 10 different search boxes. My experience is totally fragmented. And that's what I was living personally. That's what my company's living. That's what all of us are living. I mean, look under my Zoom window. It's all, we're all dealing with the same thing. And so we're like, all right, let's extend AI into that new world in like a valuable way. Let's give people that one search box. And then another problem with AI is that our industry is training these is spending trillions of dollars to train these models that can do like quantum physics, but don't know about, can't find your Q2 board deck. Yeah. And so, and the missing link there is like AI, these models can only be as smart as the context that you provide them. And that's really the bottleneck. And like no one's focusing on that. And that's how like we have this new product, Dropbox Dash, which really aims to close that context gap and finally connect your AI to everything at work. And so on the surface, it's a AI assistant, it's a search engine, it connects, it knows about you, it knows about your work, knows about your company, it connects to all of your work apps. And unlike with a consumer AI tool or, where there's a lot of questions, it can answer a lot of questions, but a lot of questions it can't answer. So if you ask like, when does our office lease expire? Or where's that slide from last year's product launch? ChatGPT can't tell you because it's not connected to your stuff. And then Copilot doesn't know about your Slack, and Gemini doesn't know about your Salesforce. And so that's where Dash comes in to build this like universal context layer. And the front end is really around search and an AI assistant, because that's what people understand. Yeah. But we're like, this is a natural evolution for us. Dropbox has always been about organizing and sharing your information, or organizing, sharing your most important information, connecting to every ecosystem, being trusted, having this track record of reliability and security. Okay, how can what is the manifestation of AI in our world that actually makes sense, and where is there a new problem that hasn't been solved?
I think that's just like the perfect strategy for you right now, because we had this like search was great, and then we wound up generating so much data that search, personally, not a judgment on you particularly, but across all of my services, whether it's iMessage, Gmail, we talk about it all the time. It's not to hate on you. This is a technology-wide thing. Search got really slow and not as accurate, and there were so many cookies that it was picking up, like it would just get confused. And then we got like GPT-5, deep research, like the thing that can go work for 20 minutes to get you exactly what you need. And it's like, okay, now we need to actually bring these two things together and get really performance, something in the middle, and then size them. And you see this with the model router in the consumer product, but to actually bring something like this in the business context makes so much sense. So I love that the pitch is not ASI for your documents. It's like, hey,
I mean, we're excited about that too eventually, but if that's in self-driving, they have like level 5 full autonomy, like totally self-driving, human out of the loop. But a lot of the commercial value gets created at like the level 1, level 2. Like, all right, let's give people a working search box. Let's actually give them AI that actually knows about their work. These are going to be the big businesses that get built along the way to that, super intelligence.
Yep.
Zooming out and kind of going away from what's happening at the product level, like what is your updated kind of strategy around running the business and capital allocation? I know you're the single largest shareholder at somewhere around 20%. You've been buying back a bunch of shares, but like what is like the strategy and kind of pitch on that front?
Well, mainly investing for growth. I mean, Dropbox has always been a pretty profitable business. I mean, we took a lot of the consumer internet playbook in the beginning and built these like self-serve, viral, product-led motion that was able to scale to millions of, hundreds of millions of people, millions of businesses. We have 500,000 paying businesses on Dropbox, $2.5 billion in revenue. But the new, there we go.
Hit that gong, John.
Yeah, we got to hit the actual gong.
Yeah,
for $2.5 billion of revenue, creating product-led growth.
We get excited about big numbers.
The Godfather. Are you the Godfather of product-led growth? Is that fair to say?
I don't think I'm allowed to call myself anything.
Okay, well, I'm allowed to call. I'm calling you the Godfather of product-led growth.
No. I mean, if anyone listening is not familiar with the Dropbox playbook, like please go study it. It is a clinic for value creation. It's a fantastic story.
Yeah, and we're doing that again. We're running a lot of the same playbook with Dash, and I talked a little about search and AI, the sort of AI chat piece, but we're also just thinking very fundamentally about like all the things we kind of lost as we went from kind of the file and PC world into the browser and the cloud. And it's not just search or AI. There's even just the concept of organizing things, as you were talking about. People are like, somehow we all got convinced that searching for things is like a substitute for organizing things. And it's just not really true in that, all along the way we had files have folders, songs have playlists, but you think like links have, right? There's no like container, like a collection of there's no way to like have a collection of mixed format stuff if you have like a Google Doc and a 10 gig 4K video and an Airtable. There's no way to so organize. So we have something called Stacks, probably about to show up on this video. Nice. That does that. But yeah, I mean, just looking at these very basic problems hidden in plain sight, and you give people a search box that works, let people talk to all their stuff in natural language, organize their stuff for them, go beyond documents to organize your images and videos. And so in a lot of ways, where I'm putting our capital is just building the version of Dropbox that I would want to have today, and Dash is step one in that direction.
Yeah, and I mean, we've covered a number of companies that have been going after enterprise search, and it feels like and many of them have been able to achieve pretty wild valuations in a short period of time. But of course, you're not asleep at the wheel thinking, I don't want to dominate that market too. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome
well, and then I think that the big thing our customers really want, or where Dash fits in there versus Glean or some other companies, is like, you don't have to spend 6 months and $50,000 to get started. And so one of the things we're launching today is like a truly self-serve version of Dash, where you can just download it, get your team up and running, link your apps, and just go. And that's something I think that's really been missing, because there's a lot of, there's a bit of a knife fight in the enterprise around a lot of different things. But then we look at most of our customers in the SMB segment or lower mid-market, it's a huge swath of the market has no options. And so we think it took a lot longer because it's like hard to make these things totally self-serve. But that's what we've done with Dash. And again, it's sort of like, it's the version of Dropbox I would build for today's context.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
We won't keep you any longer. Obviously, you're very busy. We really appreciate you coming.
Congrats to the whole team on the launch.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, we're super proud of it.
And next time, come on in person, come hang out in the Ultradome.
And put on a growth clinic. I'm sure a lot of people would benefit from learning some of the story, because
from the Godfather himself.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one. The Godfather. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Great hanging, Drew.